everybody, it's Father Casey from the Epiphany of Our Lord Church. I am the pastor, the head honcho, and I welcome you to the Fourth Magi channel on YouTube. This week, the readings, and in particular, the gospel, is all about leadership. Bad leadership, I should say. And as a priest who's speaking to you, I cringe a little when I read the gospel that we're reading this week, because not only is Jesus speaking to the scribes and the Pharisees, but he's speaking to me, he's speaking to other priests, he's speaking to bishops, he's speaking to Pope Francis and cardinals. Anybody who's in a religious leadership role, he's speaking to, because the temptations that the scribes and the Pharisees fell into in the gospel are the same temptations that we as priests and bishops and popes and anybody in religious leadership can fall into. We have the same temptations. Jesus says, the scribes and the Pharisees, they have the authority given to them by Moses, so that people should listen to what they have to say, but do not watch or pay attention to what they do, because what they do contradicts what they say. And that's the danger of being in not only a leadership position, but in a leadership position where I represent Jesus to many people. Yeah, I'm not Jesus, and I'm a human being, I make a lot of mistakes, but I can't help, because the perception so often is the reality. So Jesus reminds his listeners that the scribes and the Pharisees, they love positions of honor at banquets. They love to be called rabbi. They love to be noticed in public places. And oh, look, it's the rabbi. Oh, it's the scribe. Oh, they're important people. They love it. And he knows it. But that doesn't just get applied to them. One of the things that I am most afraid of as a priest is when somebody pays my bill. Now, I'll be sitting in a restaurant like Johnny's, right down the street, and I'll go to ask for my bill, and the waitress or waiter will say, "Oh, that's okay, Father, somebody already paid your bill." And I get really irritated. Not because of what they did wasn't nice. What they did was very nice and generous. And you know what? I'm not mad at them, but what I'm afraid of as a priest is I will like it, and I will get comfortable with it. That's the danger. And I go, maybe I'll go to this restaurant because I know that these people eat there, and maybe they'll pick up my tab. That's what happens. It doesn't just happen overnight. It happens gradually, slowly, where the person begins to look for these things. They look for the perks. And when they don't get the perks, it's like, oh, I didn't get perks. Then nobody picked up my tab. Oh my God, I walked into the room, nobody called me Father. I walked into the room and nobody knew who I was. They didn't give a hoot that I was a priest of the Roman Catholic Church. And you know what? These days that happens a lot. So if I come to look for those things, well, then I'm in a lot of trouble, because that's not what I'm supposed to be about. Jesus is very clear at the end of the gospel that we must humble ourselves in order that we might be exalted. Don't look for the perks. Don't look for the adulation. Don't look for the titles, and look for what comes with the titles. Because you know what? The days of the titles and adulation and respect are over. The scandal has destroyed a great deal of that. And I knew that the day that I walked into the Willow Grove Mall, and I was shopping, and I had my collar on because I was Father. And I walked in, I was doing some shopping, and the scandal had just happened. It just broke. All these priests that had broken faith with people, had done some horrible things, and the bishops who moved them around. People were really angry, and they were upset. And I was walking into a store, and somebody spit on me. And I was like, what the? And the person was so angry, and I was like, I walked away, and I wiped the spittle off my face. And I thought, wow, I never expected that. And there are a lot of times where, you know what, I won't wear my collar out in public because of that incident. I'm not ashamed of being a priest, But why ask for trouble if I can avoid it? You know, because the days of like, I'm father, those are over. You know, there are still a lot of good people who respect and honor the priesthood, who have looked the other way and are not worried about, you know, what has happened. You know, they're able to move on with their lives and with their faith. But the danger is that, you know, because there are still priests and bishops and popes, they still look for the title. They look for the respect. They expect, you know, gratuities, and they expect, you know, to receive all these perks because of their title. And Jesus is very clear that we can't do that as religious leaders. Now, the gospel doesn't just apply to religious leaders. It applies to leadership in any position, whether you're a parent or a grandparent, or whether you're in charge of employees, or whether, you know, you are given some kind of responsibility, whether you get paid for it or not. That, you know, when in a leadership position, we should be more about how we can serve than about how we are going to be served. You know, that servant leadership, that is so important, because that is the model of Christ. That is the model of a leader in Christianity. It's not about being served, but how we can serve. So this week, if we think about whatever leadership position we're in, how can we best serve others and not look for the perks or expect the adulation or the reverence and respect that should come because of our title. Let it come to us because we've earned it, because we deserve it, because of the leader that we are. God bless you and have a great week.